Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Botbrack for short. So I've got my final ever box watch for you today. These little features do get about 10 views, so I'm not going to bother doing it anymore. But thanks to Gary for doing the top thumbnails for this year. This box watch is looking back over the autumn months, sort of since the start of September. And what I've been watching, I'll start with a few documentaries. So Dirty Pop, the boy band scam. If you're not seeing this, this is on Netflix, and this is about Lou Pearlman. So Lou Pearlman was an entrepreneur, musical impresario, who's principally known for managing the Backstreet Boys and making the band documentary and creating the band O-Town from that. Anyway, he's basically using the boy bands as a Ponzi scheme. So if you're not aware what a Ponzi scheme is, the word Ponzi scheme comes from the character of Charles Ponzi. Charles Ponzi was a guy who had a scheme where you basically take money off investors and you say you're investing it and so on, but you use the money you've received off your new investor to pay dividends, profit to your old investor who's already given you money. Bernie Madoff did this as well. So it's like I take 10 quid off you and go, yeah, I'll invest this, and I come back and I'll give you 20 quid. It's great, you double your money, but that's the two tenors I've got off someone else. And then they think, oh, wait for my return, and then I get some more investment off some other poor saps, and I give that profit to that money to those people, and they're like, oh, great, I made some money here, but they haven't. So this is interesting. It's an interesting documentary. I find the whole boy band thing funny. I find people in boy bands strange. Being a musician, I'm not being pretentious, being someone who plays guitars, has a crack at writing songs myself and playing in bands. This idea of having songs written for you and learning dance routines and miming is just fucking bullshit. I do like some Backstreet Boys songs. Max Martin's a very good pop songwriter. The Backstreet Boys, yeah. Anyway, so the other one is the Zodiac Netflix documentary. So if you like the film Zodiac, David Fincher, you'll be aware of the character Robert Grayson in that. He's a cartoonist for the San Francisco Chronicle who kind of became obsessed with the Zodiac Killer and wrote a book about it. So for the uninitiated, the Zodiac Killer's a still unsolved serial killer. Murders in San Francisco in the 1960s, early 70s. But this is really good. Basically, it looks at the main suspect and his some kids that he kind of took care of who've seen the mum back in the 60s have kind of come out and put two and two together. So it's kind of new evidence, but we'll never know for sure if he did it. But I think there's every probability this guy's, but it's worth watching this. It's really interesting. In a pre-DNA age, it shows you that people could get away with this stuff. Some cool sort of use of Super 8 footage and good sort of evocation of the times. Probably best maybe watching the film first. Watch the film Zodiac and then watch this, because obviously this has more detail in some ways. Strike Miners documentary. So there's been quite a few miners' strike things recently. This is on Netflix. Obviously, it's 40 years since a miners' strike. Again, this is something really younger people should watch. If you weren't alive when the miners' strike was going on, you won't realise how significant this is in British culture, because it's really where one type of economics triumphs over another. Really that's, that following of that economics has led to where we are now. Make of that what you will. But it's really about social change in Britain, about how the media could demonise people as well, and really looks at Orgreave. This may be something that the Battle of Orgreave that may get looked at in this current parliamentary term, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's kind of like the cool documentaries. Let's go into some series. Terrestrial TV. There's only Sherwood Series 2 I watched on BBC that kind of stands out. I really like the first series of Sherwood, and again, this is set in Nottingham and ties in with the miners' strike and what happened in that period. Again, look it up if you're not sure what happened in the north, and then with the Midlands miners. Interesting, divide and conquer. But this is a really good show, great acting. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, there could maybe be another one. The only other thing I watch on, and it's a documentary as well, actually, is Ambulance on BBC One. If you don't watch Ambulance, it is a good show. It shows you how hard the paramedics and first response calls in a call centres work, how they manage calls, and it's quite gripping and can be moving. So, a hard-pressed NHS, watch this show. Okay, let's get into what I've been watching on streaming. There's so many things. I've picked out a few things. I finally got around to watching Ripley, which is the Stephen Zalian adaptation of the Patricia Highsmith novel, The Talented Mr. Ripley. And I really like this. I've seen Alain Delon version, playing Le Plain Soloel. Probably not pronounced that right. Because we know the Matt Damon film, Anthony Minghella, which I really love. Great acting in that. Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is shot in black and white. It's very arty. It's very slow. It's got a lot of repetition. I liked it. I liked Andrew Scott's take on Ripley, even though he's too old for the part, really. I'm just kind of fascinated by the Ripley character. There's a good John Malkovich film called Ripley's Game you can watch as well. And then there's The American Friend, the Wim Wenders film, which is an adaptation. And Dennis Hopper plays a Ripley character, unusually. So, I like this, but you may not like it. I liked it, though. Then we've been watching The Gentleman. I finally got around to watching that. This is the Guy Ritchie sort of spin-off of his film. I think this is better than the film. The film was kind of a 6 out of 10. This is good. Theo James is good. I can't pronounce the second name, but she's good. This is funny. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of not got as much keys in this, actually, and it benefits from that. Gentleman's worth watching. It is a good series. I'm looking forward to the second one. And incidentally, on Disney, I watched Rivals, which has one of the same actors in it. I forget his name, is Alex something, and I should have looked this up before doing this. But if you've not seen Rivals on Disney, this is my favourite show this year. This is such good fun. This is based on a Jilly Cooper novel. It's set in the 80s. I don't know what Jilly Cooper novels are like, but I imagine they're sort of trashy airport novels. She's like the British Jackie Collins. I think this recognises that. It recognises that the source material is not highbrow, and it plays it up for all it's worth. But it's got loads of really good characters, and it acts as having such great fun. Aidan Turner, Catherine Parkinson, Danny Dyer's great, in this. He actually plays a really good guy in it. This is just laugh out loud funny at times. David Tennant's having a ball. If you've not seen Rivals, this would make great Christmas viewing, actually. It'd be, something where you can have something really entertaining that you can watch one episode or two a day, whatever you want, over the Christmas period. And I said the same again for Sweet Pea as well. This came out on Sky. I forget the name of the Sky channel, but anyway, if you've got Now TV and stuff like that, this features, now the actress is in Fallout as well, another show I watch which is pretty good, but basically she ends up becoming a serial killer. It's one of those accidental serial killer things where someone kind of becomes a serial killer by accident and gets into it. But again, this is funny but quite kind of gripping, and it's got a nice mixture of drama in it as well. This was a really easy watch. It was like 6 episodes, blasted through it. So check that out. Also, watch The Penguin. Just look at my notes here. So this is the Colin Farrell show based on his Penguin character from the Matt Reeves reboot of Batman, the Robert Pattinson one. I couldn't completely get away with that film. It's far too long, although I appreciate what Matt Reeves did with the cinematography, the look, and how he tried to make Batman more of a detective. But I did like Colin Farrell's performance. I couldn't recognise him under their makeup. This is a really good show. It kind of follows the Penguin on his path to building his empire. Again, the acting is really good by Colin Farrell, and the principal female lead, who I haven't written the name down of the actress, but she's really good. She plays the daughter of Falcone. She's very, very good. And that's really the strong dynamic in this between those two characters. It's very violent. It's kind of twisty. And it's just more like a proper gangster show, really. The Penguin's kind of sort of more like a kind of strange kind of gopher, come Tony Soprano figure. Check it out, good show. Next one I'm going to pick this is quite a strange watch. At first I wasn't sure about it, but by the end I did like it. And this Disclaimer, starring Cate Blanchett, Kevin Kline, Sacha Baron Cohen and Cody Fee Smith. This is a drama thriller. It's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, the great Mexican director. And it's got a lot of visual panache, as you'd expect from him. But this is really good. This is about Cate Blanchett's character. Kevin Kline, they've lost their son. He's died some years ago. The wife's died. He's died in a drowning accident. Cate Blanchett was there. This guy drowned, just saving her son, sorry. And the mother has written a fictional, a book on this, and Kevin Kline publishes this to kind of damage Cate Blanchett's vendetta against her. But stick with it, because it's really interesting, and it goes places you don't expect. I really liked it, but it might not be for everyone. Also, we've got The Day of the Jackal. This is Sky's big budget reboot of the classic Frederick Forsyth novel, Edward Fox, Fred Zinnemann film from '73. Really like this. Eddie Redmayne, very good. Lashana Lynch, very good. What's interesting about this is Eddie Redmayne's obviously not a sympathetic character, but you kind of find out more about his character. And Lashana Lynch isn't either. But it's got a great opening sequence. He does an impossible shot hit. It's really well staged, and it restages one of the great scenes in the Day of the Jackal film. This won't be a spoiler. There's if you know the film, he goes out to practice shots in some woods with a melon, and it was really nice to see that scene redone. But it reboots it for the kind of Interpol technology age, so to speak. And this is good. It's gripping, exciting. The only thing lets it down, it's got a really cool credit sequence. It's obviously a bit Bondish, but it's got an awful song by what's her face? Oh, I've forgotten her name, but I can't stand her singing, and it just really pisses me off. Anyway, so you can forward through that. So that's The Day of the Jackal. Then I've watched A Very Raw Scandal on Amazon Prime. This is the dramatisation of the Emily Maitlis Prince Andrew interview. This is much better than, I think it's called Scoop or something. So that's the Netflix Gillian Anderson film. Gillian Anderson kind of has Emily Maitlis's hair, has a dog and dresses like her, but doesn't really do the accent, doesn't get under the skin. Although Rufus Shield does quite well as Prince Andrew, but this show has Ruth Wilson as Emily Maitlis. I mean, Ruth Wilson's such a good actress. She really sinks into the skin. She's quite chameleon-like. She does great with kind of Emily Maitlis's pitch of her voice, and it's quite enjoyable. And then Michael Sheen as Prince Andrew. Obviously, Sheen's a master at playing real-life characters, and he doesn't try and do Andrew's voice, but he gets the mannerisms, and he does kind of communicate the complexity, the problems of how Prince Andrew digs a hole for himself, but the problems of being Prince Andrew, of being in this gilded cage. And it's also interesting how it kind of affects Emily Maitlis, and also how it kind of affects the show of Newsnight, and really why she left, because it was difficult to kind of get no one to be interviewed by her, because she got him on the ropes. But I really enjoyed this. This was good, and it's nuanced. I think it's got enough nuance about it, and the three parts work perfectly well. Also on Prime, Fargo. I got around to watching seasons 4 and 5. Probably season 4 is probably my least favourite one. This is the Chris Rock one, but it's always good. It's always interesting. This was too long. Great performance by Jessie Buckley in this. She plays his batshit mental serial killer nurse. And she's the one that does the crazy Minnesota accent. But watch it if you like Fargo. You got to watch them all. But series 5 is really good. It deals with more domestic abuse. Juno Temple's excellent in it. Again, she does the proper Fargo voice. John Hamm plays an absolute monstrous kind of sheriff who's kind of got his own kind of militia. This was really good. a kind of slightly different step for Fargo, although it did have some mental elements, but really good, well worth checking out. Yeah, I've just finished watching Senna, which is the new Netflix series on Ayrton Senna in 6 parts. This is enjoyable. The motor racing sequences, although there's some CGI, are really good. It kind of intercuts the original footage with cool close-ups of cars, and that it uses the real historical cars. If you're a fan of Formula One, you know how famous the McLaren cars that Senna and Prost drove were, the Williams he drove, the Lotus he drove. Where this show works is showing like Senna's great moments, his epic performance in the Tolman in 1984 and at Monaco in a wet, where he would have won if the race hadn't been stopped. So what's interesting about this is Prost, kind of, this is madness, we shouldn't be racing the wet. Prost was leading, but Senna was reeling him in, and he was in like a very inferior car. He basically made the car go faster because of his superior driving skills in the wet. Prost wanted the race stop. He kind of had a relationship with Jean-Marie Balestre, who was the president of the FIA at that time. And he stopped the race, and they got half points. But what was interesting is at the end of that season, Niki Lauda beat Alain Prost by half a point. Now, if Prost had raced on and Senna had beat him, he would have come second, but he would have got 6 points, not 5, which was the half point marks. There you go. But anyway, so he captures that well. This is his first win in Estoril in Lotus with a lovely John Pless special livery. Another immense performance. There's his performance at Monaco, where he just went into trance and just kept lapping faster and faster. And he actually crashed. They were telling him to slow down. I think it's a great qualifying lap there. So even though he fucked up, he was just so in the zone. But it's a glaring omission of his races, his lap of the gods, Donington, when he went from 5th to 1st in the wet. I think he was on slick tyres. 1993 in the inferior McLaren to Prost Williams, which had active suspension. So if you're not familiar with Formula 1, active suspension was a computer controlled suspension thing, and it could change the ride height of the car throughout the race, and that would adjust the amount of downforce and optimise the speed in corners. The downforce is the airflow over the top, pressing the car onto the track, so to speak. So, and it treats the crash at Imola, the fatal crash, and that weekend really well. I really liked his early bits of karting and his Formula Ford bits, but it's produced by the family, so it's all weighted to Senna. It makes Prost look bad, like the villain, and makes Senna look really innocent, and it kind of ignores the kind of trappings of wealth and celebrity. He had a helicopter and flew places and stuff, to make him more of a man of the people, I think, which I think he was to a certain extent. He started a great foundation. So it's weaker on those bits. The guy playing Senna is good. Some of the acting's a bit like hammy and a bit expositional, particularly the team bosses at times. But I enjoyed it enough. It's no replacement for the Senna documentary, though. Yeah, if you like Formula One and you join motor racing, I think you quite enjoy this. Yeah, there was House of Dragon season 2 as well on Sky Atlantic. Enjoy House of Dragon. I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact it's better than Game of Thrones. I think early Game of Thrones is still fucking excellent stuff, although we know what happened the last season. But I do enjoy this. The problem is when these series come round, I've forgotten what's happened in the first one, which is the same as happened with The Boys, which I watched on Prime, series 4. I think The Boys, it's been quite interesting what they've done this year and in series 4, but I think they have sort of been mimicking the trumpery that's going on, and that may alienate some viewers of a political persuasion, but it's still a funny show. I think season 5, I think they should wrap it up. I think it's coming to that point where that would be the way to go for me. But if you've not watched The Boys before, check it out. Maybe wait if the season 5 is the last, then you can binge it. It's a very funny show. And that brings me to Cobra Kai, a show that's wrapping up. I've watched, it's coming in 3 parts. I watched the first 2 parts on Netflix. Always love Cobra Kai, always laugh out loud. I'm going to miss this show. What I love about this is just how pathetic Kreese is. That character, he spent his whole life fucking wanting revenge, on Johnny. Well, now Johnny, and now, obviously Ralph Macchio's character. I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. It's so funny. But check that out. Another Netflix show as well was Monsters, Lyle and Eric Mendez. This was a good show. I think there's a documentary as well. This is about the Mendez brothers. They murdered their parents. The court case that went around it. This is it's kind of a comedy, really. Javier Bardem's having a lot of fun as the dad. But what's interesting is just how brutal their murder was. They really did murder them and fucking then some. But watch it. You might want to watch the doc. I watched the documentary, but that's worth checking out as well. Okay, I'm just checking there. Finally, my final watch, which was recommended to me on Disney, is Mr. In-Between. This is an Australian crime, a comedy drama, starring actor Scott. Forgotten his second name as usual, but he's written and created this. The half-hour episodes. This is very funny. It's a great mix of comedy and drama. He's a kind of hitman for the kind of local mob people. But he's got his own personal life struggles. He's a divorcee. He's got his young daughter who he has, on weekends. His brother has motor neuron disease. He has a bad relationship with his dad. So it's really good. He's got a domestic side, and then usually he's kind of performing and doing some hit or exacting some justice. This is a really good watch. And again, this is the sort of thing, if you got into it, you could binge it really quickly. I watched it in the space of a week. Okay, I've kind of jumbled all that up, and that's probably the problem with this feature. But anyway, remember, share and subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.